Hello. Today I'm going to try to explain a little better how Project 2045 is planning to work. So some of the steps we need to understand a little better. And there are several steps. The first step is to come to some agreement as to what sort of country we would like to live in. That won't be easy because we can each have our own idea, but actually the hardest thing will be challenging the status quo, because most people think that the way things are is normal. You know, it's just the way things are, and it's very hard to change the status quo. But we have to do that. And we have to do that with respect for everybody's ideas, and with respect for the people who have a lot, and with respect for the people who have nothing, but deserve to have a lot. So that will take some time, and that's pretty much what I'm going to address today. I'm going to talk about the statement of values. Once we've figured out a sort of collective statement of values, then we have to figure out how to manifest them. And this, I think, will actually be easier. Because I think in order to get a statement of values that we all agree on, we're going to have to confront a lot of our current thinking. So once we've decided how we would like the country to be, then we have to figure out what sort of programs can make that happen. And then we have to create a government and also create citizens' participation so as to actually make it happen. And that definitely will take 20 years. And of course, one of the biggest, most obvious problems is so many people have been suffering so much that there are huge crises, people crises, human crises that we have to deal with. So a big part of the next 20 years is going to be trying to mop up a lot of the problems that we are facing every day, and just to try to help every single person to be able to make steps in their life in a healthy direction. Okay, so let me just give you an example of the statement of values. So I myself came up with 10 values. I'm going to post this under this video so you can see it. And so this is just the way that I think, but I need to introduce you to the way that I think. So let me just focus on a couple of them. And the first one is about love and children. So all people at birth inherit the right to receive parental love and nurturing, leading to growth and development towards self-actualization. In this process, responsibility is gradually transferred from the parent to the child. Okay, this is not something you can legislate. How could you possibly legislate that parents have to love their children, right? It's just too big. It's also too obvious. Nobody's going to complain about that. Who would get up and say that's wrong? They don't agree with it. So we can't really expect this to be enforced. But what we do have to do, or what we can do, is to try to create the conditions which lead to this happening. This is the most fundamental point, actually. The others may be easier to understand, how we can do something about them. But without this, nothing else will work. And with this, if we could just love our children, like collectively love all the children in America or the world, then the others would be less important anyway. But right now, all these other factors are what is preventing us from loving our children, giving us so many burdens and, forcing us to be worried about our own survival and how to just make enough money to support a family. So if we can change some of these conditions, then we can make it a lot easier to love our children. Anyway, I'm going to talk a lot more about that one, being as it's pretty fundamental and would make the most difference anyway. So the second one is maybe a little bit more controversial in the sense that, we're starting to get into economics and politics here. So, even though it's obvious, by the way, all people at birth inherit the equal right to the use of what is freely given by nature and the planet, with particular emphasis on land. All people also inherit the responsibility to guarantee this same right to all other people. Okay, so what does that mean? Is it even remotely feasible? Well, for tens of thousands of years or longer, indigenous people just sort of accepted that. That was just assumed. And the land was a lot healthier as a result of that thinking. But, of course, we've had a lot of technological progress, and we've had a lot of economic change. I'm not necessarily going to say economic progress because it depends what is the goal of an economic system. And currently, the goal of our economic system is to allow people to make profit. And profit seems to have, overcome all other thinking right now. So, obviously the biggest problem will be that those who own land are going to strongly resist the idea of redistributing land. And, that makes sense. Of course, we have a system whereby of land ownership. So there are definitely some good points in owning land. A lot of people feel more secure if they own some land. You can do what you want within reason with your land. You have to have land. So we have to think all of that through, right? The land is probably one of the most important factors in economics that has been overlooked or intentionally misused. I mean, the whole concept of land ownership is something that we accept, but we never really think about it very much, right? Although people are thinking about it now. So what is this idea that we all should have equal access to use of the land? What does that mean? Does that mean that we should divide up the land into half-acre plots and everybody gets half an acre? I don't think that would work. Hopeful as I am, idealistic as I am, that wouldn't work. Okay, so we have to be a little wiser than that. But this is a huge topic, and there are a lot of really good answers out there, so we'll look at that, okay? That's going to be a big part of what we're going to talk about. Other than that, I made 10 points. So these are my ideas. And the idea is that we all think these things through, and then we come up with a collective statement, which we obviously are going to, modify every now and again as things change. But if we don't do something like that, if we don't have a collective vision, then we're not going to be able to push through all the barriers and the opposition to make real change.